Well, here we are again. This is Extracted, season 5, episode 6.
7.
Episode 7, you just told me that. And we're not even going to do a retake because if I do, then she gets a point.
And you're too busy.
And I'm too busy to be editing things. So, no, I'm very busy. But that's the thing. That's the thing. But first off, I'm going to hold that. That's the thing.
I'm holding.
Hold the that's the
Okay.
thing. This is Extracted, and every season we do something different. And this season, what is merited more than anything is discussing just how corrupt and dangerous and ridiculous our current administration is. And of course, a lot of that is the Epstein files and
Yes.
how our president is a pedophile. And you can say that with great liberty and ease because he won't sue you because he doesn't want discovery to come
Yeah,
out.
or to be cross-examined.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's something we'll bring up is the Wall Street Journal and how the president was trying to sue them as he sued every media outlet, many of them weak and bending, and was handing him a settlement. So he feels like he's a victor when in fact people just don't want to be bothered with a massively expensive lawsuit from a psychotic president. So back to the thing. That's the thing.
That I'm holding.
What is that's the thing? I think what was the vibe you got?
Well, we were talking about the Epstein files and how cuckoo for Cocoa Pops.
Well, I think that's the thing that I was going to mention. That's the thing. This is what anybody should be doing.
About.
Well, yeah, but I mean, everybody needs to be putting in that. That's the thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing. That's the thing, and that is.
That's the dog.
That's the dog. Hey, Chocho.
She agrees.
She agrees. She can't even hear, and she agrees. I think that should be your baseline.
Yes.
But everybody needs to be putting in the extra effort because we are here now. We have freedom for the most part, and we have this window. We are seeing it being taken from us. We're seeing people being infringed upon. We are seeing our president and vice president and crappy comedian and Rob Schneider support an autocrat in Hungary. We are seeing it. It's being handed to us as a gift. And I'm telling you, MAGA or Mumdani, everybody, we're all in the same boat getting screwed by the same people. That's the thing.
That's the thing.
And that's why we are here now for a busy day.
Yes.
So, and what we've been doing on episode 5 here,
7.
Season 5. Jesus Christ. Should I start over?
No,
we're going power through. What we're doing on episode 7, season 5, and all the episodes is we have bricks because there's so much as they try to flood the zone.
Yes.
Steve Bannon, Donald Trump flooding the zone with so much that you don't know what to focus on. So we grab a brick in the flood and say, this is what we're going to talk about today. And you are always bringing quality brick.
Bringing bricks.
I'm more the mortar. But
you are. You really are the mortar.
That's a good morning show. Bricks and mortar in the morning.
Mortar in the morning.
Welcome to Working Class Radio.
Traffic and weather on the 10.
I had to kill a family of 3 for some fresh water this morning. Thank you, AI.
We have enough bricks to literally cover the Zorro Ranch.
Yeah.
And that's acres.
Yeah, we have a lot of bricks.
Yeah.
What are your bricks today?
I mean, there's so many things to talk about. Okay. I don't know where things changed in culture where it became okay to publicly attack a pope.
The Pope.
Who is a great guy from Chicago.
Well, that's the problem.
And the whole world loves the guy.
That's the thing. They have to attack people who are competent like him.
Yes.
Because he's a great communicator. He brings people together and he's actually earned his position. And all these weaklings, all these inferiors that ironically call themselves white supremacists, they all have to attack. And they try to. That's the one thing that poor and working class Americans have in common with our president and his ilk is that they've been trained to be angry and resentful. That's it. If you get anything else out of him other than some weird hate sensation, then you're probably making $1 billion and you're part of his rich guy team.
I feel like the strategy behind all that is straight off of elementary school playground where before you can even say, hi, I'm so-and-so, the mean kid is like, you're fat. Your parents are divorced and your dad's an alcoholic. And it's like, that's what that whole thing is about. And, not only has Trump gone after the Pope, but then JD Vance trying to follow up with a Pope. Like, these are men who have sinned so much. And I'm not saying I haven't, but you do not try to do something like that with a man of God and I'm just surprised that they haven't burst into flame.
Well, and the big thing too is they create a distraction
Yeah.
from just how ridiculous it is. So it's not now that they have ridiculed this man of faith, this idol of millions and billions of people. It is now, well, should he be speaking Italian if he's an American pope? That's the thing they try. JD Vance
The
now,
Vatican is in Italy,
yeah,
you dumbass.
yeah, and JD Vance saying he's just as spiritual, and they just try to smear it and make it
But
as
yet,
ridiculous
okay,
as
and I don't
possible.
mean to cut you off, but yet you've
Yeah,
got Keg's Breath putting war plans into metaphors that have to do with like, Christianity's survival. And
yeah,
it's just like, you can't attack the Pope and act like a complete criminal con artist. And then on the flip side, be trying to motivate your troops to go in and attack a country that's done nothing wrong because it's your your eternal salvation relies on what you do in the battlefield.
yeah. They're really trying to do, the fake rescue of this
Yeah,
rescued person we've never seen.
right.
They tried to invoke make it a religious thing by saying that the Air Force pilot texted "God is good," and other Air Force pilots are like, he couldn't have texted that.
There's no way you can't eject. I mean, we
No,
could
no,
ask our
no,
friend.
but no, the phone device he has does not allow him to
Oh,
text.
got it.
You have pre-programmed things that you can text, and that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah, because it's like this
Eyes on
supercomputer.
the road.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, and well, yeah, so they're just like, "That's totally made up," like, yeah.
I was going to bring up our good friend, Lieutenant Kimbrell, and ask her, can you text and fly an
Right.
F-14 at the same time in the
Yeah,
middle of battle? I
yeah,
don't think you can, but
well,
I stand corrected.
it seems and they're moving away from that. I mean, this is why they have to attack the Pope and attack Iran and attack everyone is because, that whole rescue operation looks to have been fraudulent as they failed to steal the uranium, and then
Okay.
we lost more airplanes in one day since World War II because of the failed operation, and now they're trying to say it's a rescue thing.
And another thing that happened right before that, coming up, I mean, I kind of feel like Trump didn't realize that April Fool's Day wasn't on Sunday the 5th, which is actually Easter Sunday,
Yeah.
because he posted a rant-filled hate paragraph that confused many of his people, his followers that are big Christians, because he suddenly and I have no problem with saying anything. I've got Muslim friends and I'm not at all trying to say anything about that, but in his tweet he's saying praise Allah, and that really confused a lot of his fans and psychopaths,
Yeah.
because
You can put psycho in there
thank
for
you.
sure, yeah.
Because, like, here you have these super conservative Christians that can't accept the truth that Trump's done really awful things, but yet they don't flinch if he's, talking hate and war on
Yeah.
Easter Sunday and then saying praise Allah.
Well, look at, this it's all about, flooding the zone and distractions, because while people are talking about that truth social post, um, they're failing and on every front.
Every front.
JD Vance had maybe the worst weekend of any.
Oh my God.
He goes to Hungary to promote Orban. He gets stood up by the president when he tries to call him from the lectern, and then he goes to Iran and comes home with no
Nothing.
deal, absolutely nothing, and and then Orban loses by
Mhm.
in a landslide, uh, and yet we're not talking about that here. We're talking about how fraudulent the
Grandma.
DoorDash grandma
Yeah.
was, because they just keep throwing things at you, and I'm telling you, if the DoorDash grandma bit or whatever it is doesn't just show Americans how ridiculously out of touch these people are by our president handing her $100 bill and saying that
It,
could help with her husband's cancer
it was
treatment.
funny money. There's
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah, it was all BS. The whole thing was BS. Like, economists have pointed out there's no way that her tax on tips would get her $11,000 check.
And how'd she get through the security?
Oh, yeah, and what DoorDash has already showed it was a commercial they were filming, so, yeah, and she has already, for the Trump administration, played another character when she testified for the big beautiful bill, on Capitol.
Oh,
Yeah,
so she's like a cast character.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
and which is amazing. They're always accusing people of being paid to protest, which I never have been. I would love it, but they're the ones that have these paid actors that
Incredible, because I thought for a minute she looked a little like Linda McMahon.
Yeah, there's this hard, I maybe smoked too much thing going
I
on.
smoked and
Yeah,
drank and was a bitter old woman for many
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's amazing to her credit? Uh, the president is trying to get her to talk about trans athletes in sports because that's the thing they go back to when everything
Right.
is failing. And she says, "I'm sorry, I don't have an opinion on that. I'm just here to deliver." And then, I mean, it's like, come on. It's like he's out there talking to kids with the Easter Bunny about how successful he's been in
Well,
Iran and how they're terrible people. And we're
well,
gonna,
and and he was talking to some kids about Biden using the auto pen, and this one little kid was like, "What?"
yeah, he's such
And
a
it's like
loser.
he is just off
Such a
his
loser.
rocker.
Okay, we have veered from Epstein,
Okay, but
and we've
back.
done exactly what they wanted to
No, no,
do.
no, we haven't because we're coming back. This is
Okay,
all
okay.
part of the bigger picture.
Doot, doot. It's like a carousel.
So, like
Come
last
back
week,
around.
what
Yeah.
also happened out of nowhere with no announcement, with no heads up to the press corps, Melania Trump comes out with a banger
That's
of a
amazing.
presser, and people
Yeah.
are going, "Where's this
What?
coming
Yeah, where's
from?
that? What? Yeah.
What's this about?"
Yeah.
And then we start to learn about Amanda Ungaro
Oh
and
God.
educate
Let's
us
buckle
on
it. Let's buckle it. At what time is this? So at 11 minutes, I'll put this in the notes. We start talking about Amanda Ungaro. I'm gonna interview you.
okay.
Okay. So you have what seems like an inexplicable press conference that Donald Trump says he doesn't even know about, but he lies about everything, so it's hard to know. Of the first lady out of nowhere doing this press conference saying that she really had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. She met him, but there was no relationship, et cetera, et cetera. Why? Why did that happen?
Because Amanda Ungaro is outside of the United States because
She was
her
deported,
her
right?
ex, who was a model agency owning dude, asked Trump to have ICE deport her, and they did. And so she's in Brazil, and she's furious, and she's like lighting up Melania, saying, "You and I were friends for years, and I know where all the bodies are buried." And I'm. She used the words that I'm going to expose you and your pedophile husband. But what I've read and heard is that when Melania Trump came to the United States, it was in this it was through an organization called MC squared, as in E equals MC squared. And ironically, Melania, a model, was coming over on some sort of a program having to do with Einstein. She was so smart and so talented and so good at all the things that she did. She qualified for this like Einstein, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a scholarship because she was in
Yeah.
her 20s, but that's what got her here.
I
So
don't buy
Epstein
it. Yeah.
really did get her here.
Yeah.
And then she's trying to say that she met her husband at a party and never knew Epstein. And
It's so easy to confuse Epstein and Einstein. Just
they both start with
literally.
E.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Einstein didn't do terrible
Right.
things to women.
Well, and so I know that was the thing. She was supposed to have come over on this genius grant thing, but it
That
was
was it, the
Epstein
grant.
brought her over,
Yeah.
and they were very close. And this Amanda Ungaro knows everything.
Everything. And it's funny even because Melania has said, "Oh, no, I don't know Ghislaine. We never hung out." But there's emails in the Epstein files where it's a loving back and forth in emails like, "Hi, sweet pea." And I say those things to my friends, or like, "Hi, my love," or something like that. Like you wouldn't just say that to someone that you didn't know.
Yeah.
So all of the pieces of evidence contradict what they're scrambling the jets to try to cover. And so when Melania did this and Trump didn't even know about it, and she comes out saying, "I don't want my name associated with this." And she pulls in the Epstein survivors and tries to say that they need to have their day, but yet that rubbed them kind of wrong.
Oh, exactly. They're exploiting them even
Yeah,
more.
even further.
Yeah.
Right.
To cover your butt.
And then, because I know last time we were together, we were celebrating Pam Bondi's
Departure.
departure.
Yeah.
But what chaps my hide more than anything is the fact that the DOJ is trying to say, "Oh, well, now that she's fired, she doesn't need to sit for Congress." The
Right.
F she does.
Right. That is crazy. You know how much of this is just trying to avoid accountability, whether it's Trump's rich pretend friends to avoid taxes, or all this
Yeah.
Epstein class to avoid accountabilities.
Amanda Ungaro was brought into this whole Epstein class world when she was 17 and has written and spoken about how creepy and upsetting it was for her as a younger woman to like be around these predatory men that just are unsatiable sexually
Yeah.
and don't care about your comfort or your pleasure. And
Yeah.
yeah,
The question remains too, of the Epstein women, is his girlfriend upon his purported demise is out there and she has all his stuff.
Now you're talking about his girlfriend lives in the Bahamas. That's the dentist.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the Russian.
yeah,
Yeah, but yet Ghislaine was. I mean, it's like there's so many
yeah,
weird overlaps.
yeah,
But you're right. She does live on Little St. James and has a dental practice, and she's Russian and has all of his assets.
yeah. There's just so much that
Are you
hasn't been.
trying not to yawn?
Oh,
You need to
desperate
have
to.
some more
Yeah, no,
coffee.
this
Please,
is not
just
my
drink.
thing.
Oh my gosh. And like you and coffee is like
I know it's bad.
meth and Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
It's something.
it is. Yeah, just a barrel full of meth. But uh there's just been so much that's untouched. So you did mention Zorro Ranch, and
Yeah,
it's getting touched. And have you heard anything
I
about
have.
New Mexico and their ability to gain access?
The state wants badly to get in there, and the DOJ keeps shutting them down. Now, I wish I could remember her whole name, Maria something. I follow her on Substack. She's a local journalist in New Mexico that's covered so much of this. And you know how Google Maps takes pictures of the earth every year? She has been able to take, I think, like a decade of aerial photos of Zorro Ranch and bring them together. And you can literally see the fresh holes that are dug around the property and like a little white tent that sits next to it. And it's like, is that where they're sacrificing? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
or just
hypothesizing.
buried. These are
These are buried, yeah. And so I feel like if somebody could get in there with some ground penetrating radar and do some archaeological digging, that the two young women that are rumored to be buried there would might be found, and then the many others that I've heard that are also been
yeah,
buried there. And then, you know, we've read about how he ordered people on Creeper Island to go and get rid of all the evidence. And there was a door from that house that went right into the ocean.
yeah,
So, I mean, it's fish food at this point.
yeah. I
I
know
feel like I've had meth.
that there's been no
You just, yeah.
what.
Look, I don't know. You're looking at me kind of
No, no,
blank.
not at all. No, I just
But Jared, the Dow.
I know. The Dow. I know. That's why she's gone now. The
Yeah, the
Dow.
Dow.
Um, which that's what we should be talking about, is that you're out of frame.
Oh, hi.
Yeah,
And I'm back.
yeah, I
Sorry.
know. That's exciting. Uh,
I was trying to
we
give you
get
some
there's a
space.
magic show halfway through.
I was trying to give you space.
No, no, it's fine. But okay, so yes, he ordered cleanup on the island, and that's in the email. Bury everything.
Yeah,
And then Zora Ranch apparently the same,
right.
and which is why they handed it off to this creep show. He wants to be comptroller in Texas. I can't remember his
I
name, but
just said his name
the
earlier.
angry
Huff
elf.
Hines,
Yeah,
Donald Huff
Hellfire.
Hines.
Yeah,
He looks like Gollum in a toupee.
yeah, it's bad.
It is, and he's a Trumper.
Yeah, very much a Trumper. And wants to turn it into some kind of Christian retreat.
Which to me,
What
again,
monster would go to that place as a Christian retreat?
right. And like even last week, Trump was giving a speech and he was saying the words "God is good," and I just again, I'm like, how is he not bursting into flames? Like it's just sacrilege and a whole
Yeah,
bunch of other blasphemous words that come out. Here's someone that has defied, you know, God his whole life and just been a terrible, awful person. And yet he's talking shit to the Pope,
yeah,
which you don't even put the word shit and Pope in the same sentence that I just did. And he thinks he is the second coming of Christ because that AI image of him as Jesus
hmm
healing an Epstein slash John Stewart lookalike, it was so bad that he had to delete it. People flipped their mind
yeah. And I like that he said there's an interesting path here to how he got to saying he was a doctor, because
because doctors wear the Jesus robe with the
well,
sash,
there's no way anybody, no matter how senile, would look at that and think Trump was a doctor. But
yeah,
here's how he got to
with
that.
the light in his palm. Sorry.
This is how he got to that, because somebody said this is a doctored image, and they were saying that ironically. That's funny. And then somehow it was noted that he saw this conversation, and somebody replied, I think this conversation has made Trump think we're talking about him being a doctor. And there is precedent for this, because he, when he was campaigning, kept talking about how people coming from Mexico over the border were insane, fresh out of the asylum. And then he would go like Hannibal Lecter. He does this multiple times. He's on this stump and he's like, they're letting people over here who are like Hannibal Lecter right out of the asylum. And it is believed that he confused immigration asylum with insane asylum.
Of course he did.
And then his explaining that he thought he was a doctor in the picture where he's clearly some Jesus wannabe came from the fact that it was said it was doctored, and so he just went with that. This is our president of the free world, people, or the gradually losing their freedom world.
I mean, I just think, gosh, somebody should make a commercial about Adderall and just feature all of this.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you take more than your daily dose.
Well, yeah, remember we grew up with all those anti-drug PSA,
Yeah.
brain
This
on
is your
drugs,
brain on
this is your
drugs.
brain on drugs, and just
Nancy
him.
Reagan.
Yeah, and just have him trying to, drool his way through a speech in front of the UN.
Right?
It is weird that we see so little. The mainstream media has been so disappointing, and of course, more and more of it's been purchased by Trump allies. But it's just showing some of these conversations, showing some of these speeches, showing some of the things he is saying in on an international scale, and how A, it's corrupt, and B, sometimes it makes no sense at all.
Right.
I mean, just like him on the White House lawn, yelling at children about his success in Iran with the Easter Bunny, you know? Y
Even the Easter Bunny
Yeah,
looks so shocked.
yeah, and, yeah, the Easter Bunny somehow, with fixed eyes, managed to, show shock and dismay
Yes.
on his happy holiday face. Uh,
You know who else you don't see so much are his kids. Remember how
no,
like they
no.
were
Well,
always
they're just all hiding out,
that's
making,
just it. They're hiding out,
because the
making
first
money.
administration had people that were trying to keep the guardrails up, and this one doesn't. And that all the things that they accused of Biden's son of doing, they're all doing,
Uh-huh.
but extremely,
Dreams.
yeah, to an extreme,
Billions of
billion,
dollars.
that making money off of war weapons for
Yep.
Iran and, anti-drone, what do they call it, deterrence. They're making money, of course, off the World Bank financial
Yep.
thing with I saw that most everybody who invested that has already lost money, major amounts of
But
money.
yet they all made
But they all
money.
made money
So
based on they were charging people for trades, and that's how they made their money. It wasn't based on the coin and what it was worth. It was just based on people paying to buy it.
I'm no rocket scientist
Yeah.
or science, whatever. I can look at that and know exactly where the money went.
Oh, well, we know. And now Stephen Miller is hiding where $6 billion went that they sent over to a company that had just started a week prior and now has since shut down.
$6 billion.
Yeah.
But yet they want billions of dollars to add to this illegal war that's being fought in Iran. And not only that, but I have read that a bunch of congressional members have signed a petition to not allow this deal to go through to give Israel offensive weapons.
Mhm.
They don't need it more. They don't
Yeah.
need any more. They have already wiped out Palestine and they're working through Lebanon, and it's awful and terrible. That part of the world, that's where the lights first came on.
Mhm.
I mean, one of the very early first languages came out of Lebanon. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like we're talking a lot about Jesus and about, things. It's like that's where everything came from,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
part of the world.
Yeah.
And he's bombing it to smithereens and thinks he's going to build a Trump Tower in a casino. And
Right.
it's just
It's
growth.
building it on the bones of babies. There was
Yes.
a reporter over there in Palestine just the other day saying she saw the IDF cut the throats of 6 children. And they're getting to do this with impunity because we're focused on other things.
Not only that, my friend,
Yeah.
but here in our country, I am sadly reading accounts of toddlers being sexually abused by ICE
Yeah.
in the detention
In the
centers.
detention centers, and more of what had been state-run agencies are private-run agencies that aren't, with our money, doing the things necessary, especially ICE and those detention companies. They're spending as little as possible, and people are dying in there because 'cause they're not getting the medication or the food they need. It was an engineer, I believe, that was just picked up by ICE the other day, and he's here legally. He has a great job, does everything
He
and
was born
beyond.
here.
And, they drove him around all day, and he got 2 bites of macaroni and cheese at a facility. They just drove him around and different handing him to van, because I think they're making money
Yeah,
in that time to have
yeah.
him, and of course, they get bonuses for
They
certain
probably
detentions.
mileage, bonuses. I mean,
Yeah.
they're scamming this gamification
Mhm.
of illegal deportations. And again, I'm not okay with any of it.
No, no.
You know what else I heard last week that really blew me away was, we thought it was TSA that hadn't been paid. Um, The Coast Guard has not been
Yeah, I
paid.
know.
Oh,
Yeah.
you knew that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Our
they're
our
not getting
landlocked
paid.
state.
ICE is getting paid to
Of course
stand
they
around
are.
airports and do nothing.
Yeah, and kidnap citizens off the street who have done nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting, and things are happening, like, for example, there was a bipartisan vote to what was the most recent thing that was good? Oh, make housing more affordable,
Yes.
which was to get some of the big investors out of the housing market. It passes bipartisan. Trump shuts it down, tells the House to shut it down because he wants to focus on the SAVE Act, the BS voting act that would just make voting harder for many Americans, including a lot of Trump voters in rural areas.
Right?
Uh, so
Farmers.
things that people are trying to make things happen, but they're just being bottlenecked at every turn.
Let's talk about some good stuff that's happened. We
Yeah.
were talking about that court case, and I'll let you explain that one.
Yeah, so this is great news. Oh yeah, we did tease this, so thank you
Yes.
for reminding me.
Yes.
So the Wall Street Journal, of all Murdoch-owned places,
Hmm.
broke a story about 6 months ago of Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday book, and there's all kinds of creepy art in there. I mean, there's like young
Yeah.
ladies massaging him and all. And among this art, even that there's guys holding a check and they're showing they're selling off a depreciated woman to Donald Trump.
They've auctioned a
Yeah,
woman.
auctioned off a woman, and it's to Donald Trump. Uh, and in that is a note from Donald Trump, and he talks about their little secret they have. I
Hmm.
mean, why are we even debating this?
Right. This
And then
15-year
his
brotherhood.
signature is the pubic region of
Uh-huh.
this little body, and so Donald Trump does what he does. He gets upset and sues the Wall Street Journal for defamation. And just this week, a judge says, "No,
Nope.
sorry,
Mm-mm.
it's real, and your suit has no merit."
Yeah.
This is all happening, and America's just like, nah, whatever. We like pedophiles as long as they agree with our racist ignorance.
Hmm. Who's on American Idol?
Who's on
I
America?
don't. I'm just saying, like that's the
Oh,
mindset. It's like, yeah,
I was like, I'm not ready
you
for
know,
this line of questioning.
no, but
Yeah,
it's
no,
this
yeah,
flooding the zone, and I think you said it last time, where since the war started, this illegal war, the amount of searches on Epstein files and Epstein in general is plummeted by
yeah, down 80%.
86%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, in the 80s. Yeah,
Now there was another court case last week, week before, where I think it was an appellate judge overruled what the administration did with cutting funding for PBS and public
yeah,
radio.
yeah. What is going on with that?
Well, I just heard that the judge said, No, no, you can't do that.
Yeah,
And you got to put all that money back."
yeah.
And so, how that looks and works, I don't think even those entities know. But again, it's seeing, and like, justice, it moves slow, and I've said it on this podcast, like, where these things are going to be in the courts for a long time, but it's great when you're starting to see where the right decisions are being made, and you hope that that kind of continues. But then there's other ones that will overrule the good decision,
Hmm.
and so you just don't know.
You
But
know,
then, sorry, today Trump's saying he's going to put up three new Supreme Court justices because the ones that are there that he thought were his crew aren't adhering to his wishes, and so
it,
he's just going to blow them out.
already the ones that are there on a scam that that is sponsored by billionaires through this creep show named Leonard Leo and the Heritage
Hmm.
Foundation that have all these fake organizations.
Sorry, I keep
That
doing that.
it's all right. It's and I'm going to do a thing where I really
I have bad breath, and I'm like,
they have all these organizations that are bullshit, short-lived organizations that sound like something good, like Americans for America, and they're all just funneling money, billions of dollars, to buy these Supreme Court seats, and that's what they did with the last three. And to think that they'd go even, it's not even the conservatives, not even the word. These are just activist,
Mhm.
reactionary, Heritage Foundation sponsored judges who aren't out for America, but for the highest bidder. And to think that Trump isn't getting them to agree with him, that's how far gone he is.
What I find interesting is Trump appointed judges who don't agree with him and rule differently.
Yeah.
And that offends Trump so much that he thinks that that blind loyalty is how it works in the judiciary.
Well, that's where he comes from. He comes a world of not compromise, of not debate, of not intellectual ism. It is a world of loyalty. And he was trained by a mafia lawyer in Roy Cohn, who he eventually
Yes.
stabbed in the back.
Who was
But
a terrible
yeah,
person.
it was a very bad person, a gay man out to destroy gay people,
Yeah,
and
McCarthyism.
which is just what you see. I think 80% of the Republicans that are elected are gay men who are out to destroy gay people. But that's where he comes from, that world of loyalty over common sense, over community.
Over doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I do wanna say, and I know we're at our time, and we're past our time probably. I, as a woman, love seeing the swift kick in the ass to Eric Sawell and that
But
Tony
no, that's how
MFer.
it's supposed to work.
That's how it's supposed to work. Sorry.
Okay, I guess we gotta go. But that is how it's supposed to work. Okay.
Sorry, I got a little
I know
intense.
once we turn off this camera, I'm alone with her here.
I love you, though.